In 8th grade, section 8.3, we're dealing with representing linear functions. So for example, in a tennis match, Venus Williams served a tennis ball at a speed of nearly 60 meters per second. Okay? She serves the ball 60 meters per second. So that means in 1 second, we times it by 60. So we do 60 times how many seconds? And it gives us 60 meters. So in 1 second, she does 60 meters. When we do the next one, we do 60. In 2 seconds, you times it by 2 and we get 120 meters. The next one is 60 with 3 seconds. And then this is 180 meters. So the first one wants us, I was trying to get through that. The first one wants us to complete the table. And then so if we were to graph this, these values are 60, 1, 2, 3, so I can go 1, 2, 3. But let's make these worth 30 each. So this is 30, 60, 90, 1, 20, 150, 180. So the first one is 1 to 60, then 2 seconds, so these are seconds, my x is seconds, and my y's are meters, right? Seconds, meters. So then I go 1 second, 60 meters, 2 seconds, 120 meters, 3 seconds, 180 meters, right? So the equation of the linear function is y for every meters I get, right? The amount of meters I get is I have to do 60 times how many seconds? And then these are my intercepts. Okay? So that means I start at 0 here, 0, 0. 0 seconds means 0. 0 seconds means 0 meters, because if there's no time that passed, there's no meters that for distance. So this is what I call an intercept. That means it's crossing the x and y axis. So it doesn't have to cross both. Sometimes if a line is here, then it's the x. And so whatever, if the line crosses here, this would be the x-axis. And if it crosses it, it would be the x-intercept. If it crosses here on the y-axis, then the cross would be y-intercept. Now, in the middle, 0, 0, where it meets, it so happens that the y-intercept and the x-intercept are both 0. Okay? That means the line touches 0 when it crosses the axis. The next one wants us to find 4 solutions of y equals 4x plus 3. So we're going to choose 4 numbers because we get to choose the x's. Okay? We get to choose the x's, and then it'll spit out a y. That's what the equations are for. They're to help us predict for certain values of x. So, you know, when you're trying to see how much money you get at a business, or if you're trying to see how long it takes you to run a certain amount, you have to put the amount, or you have to put the amount of money, amount of time, and it spits out the function. So here it gives us a function, y equals 4x plus 3. So I'm going to choose 4 solutions. I'm going to choose the typical -1, 0, 1, and 2. Okay? I'm going to plug it in. So y equals 4 times -1 plus 3, which is -4 plus 3. -4 plus 3 is -1. Okay? I'm going to do that same thing with all of them. Y equals 4 times 0 plus 3. This would be 0 plus 3, which gives me 3. This would be y equals 4 times 1 plus 3. This would give me 4 plus 3, which gives me 7. And this would be y equals 4 times 2 plus 3. This is 8 plus 3, which gives me 11. Right? So one more time, I found these x's, okay? And then it spit out these y's for me. So I found the x's and it spit out y's. So I'm going to have, so in order for me to graph this, I just have to, now I can ignore this because this is my work shown, and then I can focus on finding the x and y value. So my x value is -1, my y value is -1. My x value is 0, my y value is 3. My x value is 1, 7, 2, 11. Okay? If I wanted to find the intercepts, and again, intercept means where it crosses the axis. So the x-intercept is where it would cross the x-axis. So anywhere that it touches here, it would be an x-intercept. Now the y-intercept is the same thing, but it's on the y-axis. So anywhere a line or a graph touches this, this is where the y-intercept is. Mathematically, in order for me to find the intercepts, I would have to put in 0 for the other. This is what I mean. Let's say I have an x-axis right here. X-intercept right here, okay? That means I've moved somewhere on the x-axis, but I have not moved up and down. So whenever I find the intercept of one thing, the other letter is naturally y. So if I want to find the x-intercept for this equation, I put 0 in for y, and it gives me the x-intercept. So, for example, if I want to find the x-intercept, I'm going to put in 0 for y. So 0 equals 4x plus 3, and then I solve. Subtract 3 from both sides. I end up with -3 equals 4x. Okay. Now I want to separate the 4 and the x, so I'm going to divide, and this cancels out. I end up with -3 equals x. This is not, my answer is not just x. That means that this line crosses the graph at -3 on the x, right here. So -3. Okay. So that's just an example. And if I want to do the y-intercept, I do the same thing. So we're going to do that with this. We're going to apply it. So it wants me to find the y-intercept. So let's do the same thing for x-intercept. Let me show you the shortcut, because I could graph each of these points. I can find 4 solutions, graph them, and put a line through them. But you also can graph using intercepts, and it's a little bit, it's more quick. So if I have my x-intercept, that means if I can find the point where it crosses the x-axis, I'm going to put, if I want to find the x-intercept, I'm going to put 0 in for y. So just like I did up here in my example. So 0 equals x plus 2. One more time. I want to find the x-intercept, so where it crosses the x-axis. So I'm going to put 0 in for the other number because I'm not moving anywhere up and down, so y is naturally 0. So I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. I'm going to end up with 2 equals x. This is different from like x equals -1, 0 equals, this one means that not only is this a point, but my point is I have -2 for x, but my y is 0. I plugged in 0 for y. So that means that on the x-axis, this -2 is where this line crosses. Now I can do the same thing for the y-intercept. Okay? So, for the y-intercept, this time though, for the y-intercept, I have to put a 0 in for x. That means it's going to cross somewhere on y, but it's not going to move left and right. So, because it's not moving left and right, my x is 0. So I'm going to do y equals 0 plus 2. I'll end up with y equals 2. So this is telling me it's not -2 comma 0, it's not 2 comma 0 because my x is 0, right? Because I plugged in 0 for x, but my y is 2. So here on my y-axis, +2 is where it crosses the y-axis, okay? So if I find these two intercepts, I can go ahead and just graph them without having to plug in all these points. All right? You're going to be asked to try different ways so that you can get the hang of this, because sometimes like this one, oh, the answer here is -3, 3/4. X equals negative 3/4 because these don't cancel out. So you see how this would be really hard to graph. So x-intercepts don't always work. So if I were to graph this x-intercept, it would be more difficult than, let's say, this x-intercept, which is just a whole number, negative 2. So it's not like you can use intercepts for all of them, but for the majority of them you can. You can't even actually graph in fractions if you want to set it up that way. But go ahead and write this down. Don't forget to write the first board down. I apologize that I didn't give you time to do that. Go ahead and do page 413, numbers 4 and 9. Page 413, number 4 and 9. And I'm going to leave the screen on the last board, on the first board, and I will see you in class.